There are a ton of YouTube videos who show you how to build your own solar systems. And since the energy prices in my country has been rising for the last decades or so, I think it's really a cool opportunity to produce your own energy, save some money and help the environment. But there's one small problem, and that's that they're fucking expensive and I can't afford them. And I'm not the only one with that problem. Where I live, barely any of the houses have solar panels mounted on them. And that's partly because in my country it isn't that hot and the sun isn't shining that strong. And it takes about 15 years to pay off the price of the solar panels, and that's just too much. That's why I thought about how to make more energy with less money. And as it turns out, if it would be that easy, a lot of people would have done it. There are a few problems with solar panels. The first one is that their efficiency is quite low. It's only at about 20 to 30%, and the higher it gets, the more expensive are the solar panels, which is counterproductive if you want to do it cheap. Another issue is that they're only producing energy for a very short portion of the day. And the rest of the day, they're producing way less energy, and at night no energy at all. And the last big problem is that they produce that energy in the middle of the day when we actually need the most energy in the evening. And it turns out there already is a solution which solves two of these three problems. And that's solar tracking solar panels. If they follow the sun, they produce that energy later in the evening, which makes it available to you when you actually need it. And it also produces energy for a larger portion of the day, which makes it pay for itself even faster. But if it's that great, why do we see barely any tracking devices in the real world? And that's because the cost of a tracking solar system is about twice as much as a normal solar system, but it's only about 40% more efficient. So the obvious solution would be to make tracking devices cheaper, and that's exactly what I will try today. But what's the idea? How can I make this work? And it's actually pretty simple. Here you can see the code. It's very short too, and it's pretty simple too. You have 4 photoresistors here, and if any one of them detects a light over a certain threshold, the servos will turn the solar panel into that direction. And that's basically all it takes. The threshold is decided by the average of all the inputs of the photoresistors. I can simulate it here real quick. Now you can see, if I turn up the light here, the servos turn into one direction. If I turn the light on the opposite on, it turns in the opposite direction. Look at it. It's so fucking cool. It follows the sun. I've now uploaded the program to the Arduino, and because the sun is coming from the window now, it's facing towards the window. If I take this flashlight now and hold it there, it will go to the next brightest light source. It's so fucking cool. I'm outside now, it's in the evening, so you can see the sun over there, and the solar panel already faces the sun, and if I turn it now, it works really good. It still tracks the sun. If if I take it in my hand and move it, it always follows the sun. It works really, really good. Now the sun disappeared behind a cloud, but it still focuses at the brightest point in the sky. So it's really late in the evening now, and the sun is disappearing behind those buildings really soon. So now you can see the maximum difference between the tracking and the non-tracking solar panels. Here you can see the voltage. It has about 5.7 volts, and if I turn it towards the sun, then it's about 6 plus minus something. But it's not a big difference. I mean, it is some difference, but not a lot. But with the amps there is a lot more difference. If I turn it now to milliamps, you can see it has about, if it's not tracking, 26, 27, 28 milliamps. But if I turn it towards the sun now, we have about 60. Maybe I can get it to 70 now. Yeah, about 60 amps. So it's a lot more. I know that it isn't the correct way to measure the power, but I'm not measuring in absolute values and I'm only using it for a comparison, so it's good enough. And now the real question is, does it make sense to build your own solar tracking system? And I think it greatly depends on the situation. I'm confident I could build a big tracking system for a few solar panels for under $100. Because the tracking sensor I built is basically free, I could build it for under $1. And the only other things I would need is 2 linear motors, 1 Arduino, 2 relays and some building materials for the frame. So if you don't have a lot of space where you could put more solar panels, or you don't want to spend a lot of money on batteries to store your electricity, it could make a lot of sense to build yourself a cheap tracking system. But if you're still attached to the electrical grid, it's probably a lot easier and cheaper to go with non-tracking solar panels, because there's less that could go wrong, and if your batteries run out, you could just fall back on the electrical grid. This whole YouTube stuff is still pretty new to me, so if you have any recommendations what I could improve in my videos, or if you want to leave a like and subscribe, I would be very happy about that.